everybody and welcome back to another video, and today it's another quarter-final review. This time I'm doing New Zealand versus Ireland, so let's get straight into it. So this game was billed to be a massive one. Most people before the game were saying New Zealand would go through. Some were being very optimistic, saying Ireland would go through. Now these two have actually been quite close in relative years. Ireland have actually beaten New Zealand twice on 3 occasions in this World Cup cycle. So they were the form team in terms of head-to-heads going into this one, but New Zealand pulled out the stops, didn't they? They just came out and wiped the floor. They were outstanding. And it was unbelievable, really. There's not many superlatives that you can use to describe that performance, because there was no way Ireland were winning that. From the first whistle, it looked like New Zealand wanted the semi-final spot. It looked like they wanted revenge for Ireland beating them in past occasions. And my God, did they get that. They were outstanding throughout. The rugby they were playing throughout the game, they were fluid. They were quick, and it's just everything we know New Zealand by. And coming into this World Cup, we were thinking, oh, New Zealand aren't on the best of form at the moment. They've been caught up, but this is vintage New Zealand we saw against Ireland. We saw it slightly against South Africa, but this time, this was for the full 80. Vintage New Zealand, and my word, do they look hard to stop. They just didn't allow Ireland in the game at all. No way were they allowed in the game. They squeezed them out of it, and it was a bit of a thrashing at the end of it, but it was expected when New Zealand are playing the way they are in this World Cup. It's going to be hard to stop them. And even a team like Ireland, who have figured out how to stop them in recent years, couldn't stop them. For Ireland, it was a very disappointing day. It was a disappointing result. They would have gone into it thinking that they could pull off a shock, but at the end of the day, they just didn't get a foothold in the game. They got 2 tries in the end, which is good. If they were on 0 come the end of the game, that would have just looked so bad. But 2 tries doesn't make it look any better, but it makes it look somewhat healthier than it did. And you see Ireland as that really rock solid defence, fronting up in the forwards, really rock solid in their defence, and they just didn't defend that well. But who can blame them, to be honest? The New Zealand side were outstanding throughout, and that New Zealand side can break through even the strongest of defences. And I think that Ireland's was one of the best in the world, and seeing New Zealand just destroy, just open up gaps for fun, it was incredible from a New Zealand point of view, not from an Ireland point of view. It's quite sad from an Ireland point of view to see what happened in that game, especially considering as it was Rory Best, the captain's last game for Ireland, last game of his career, and Joe Schmidt's last game coaching Ireland as well. It's quite sad to end that way. And it's also sad to end on such a poor World Cup that they've had, because there was so much expectation coming into 2019, being like the most formed side, beating New Zealand last year in the Autumn Internationals, coming into this year thinking they have what it takes to win it, they have what it takes to get out of the quarterfinals for the first time in their history. And the Six Nations were poor, but really the main focus was the World Cup, and they've still not been great in this World Cup. And yeah, and the fact they had to play New Zealand in the quarter-final, it was always a long shot, but it's sad the way it ended. I was thinking that they would be able to put up a bit of a fight and they'd be able to take it to New Zealand, but they still didn't. And it's quite upsetting when players are leaving and they have to leave on that note. But they can look back on their time with Ireland over the past couple of seasons and think what success they've had. It's unfortunate that the World Cup has to end this way for them, but they've had so much success that they could just look back on that and think, we did well back then, it just went wrong this year. And it's just unfortunate. I think the World Cup's come a year too late for them, and they peaked at the wrong time. And yeah, it's unfortunate for Ireland, but that's how the game goes sometimes. And for New Zealand, wow, I keep saying it, outstanding, absolutely brilliant. I think they're going to be hard to stop now. Of course, they play England in the semi-finals, and that is going to be an absolute cracker. I don't know who's going to win that one, because England could be able to produce a shock, but the way New Zealand played, I don't know if I can see that happening, to be honest. New Zealand look like they're just too good at the moment, and throughout this World Cup they've had a little bit of shaky moments, but they're looking brilliant, and yeah, they're going to be hard to stop. That attack was always going to be hard to stop, and getting through an Irish defence which is usually so stubborn, and it was in the opening couple of minutes. They were stubborn. They weren't allowing. New Zealand took a while to score their opening try. The Irish defence was being stubborn, but I just see it as once New Zealand get one try in, they seem to find it easy to get past defences again and again and again. And they did that against Ireland, and they'll probably start doing that against England. But I think it'll be closer. It'll be much closer. But we'll see what happens. But New Zealand are definitely going to be the favourites going into that one. But who knows? England could pull off a shock, and they could come through. But overall, in terms of the game, New Zealand amazing throughout. Their attack, brilliant. Their defence, brilliant. And they did the job. They're into the semi-finals now. Definitely the team to beat. For Ireland, it's disappointment. But yeah, they can look back on recent years and think how good they were. And it just went wrong in this World Cup for them, unfortunately. And after that Japan game, it never seemed like they recovered from that game after such a good start against the Scots. So yeah, it's unfortunate for the Irish, but they go home in the quarterfinals yet again.